Hello, my name is Dr. Angie Eilers, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to share with you what sparks my interest in philanthropy and in this role in particular. And that is that I have held a long appreciation for how philanthropic organizations have a greater appetite for risk than either the government or many nonprofit or for profit organizations. Philanthropic investments have long cultivated a laboratory like opportunity for determining what works, for whom, and how, not only to the best effect, but sometimes with consideration for the best rate of return. I think of philanthropic investments in early childhood as impact investments, investments that move away from a one size fits all mentality and rather investments that address the whole child, their overall health and well being. I've been a long term fan of the Nurse Family Partnership, studied longitudinally by the University of Chicago, for example. This and other nurse home visiting programs are proving to be low cost with high impact. For this reason, my research and policy work at Growth and Justice, which is now the Center for Economic Inclusion, advocated for just such investments. I bring a few superpowers to the role of early childhood director, and one is that I'm a lifelong learner. Even after all these years, and even with the PhD and having taught at the university level, I don't ever pretend to know it all. I have a lot to learn from others, from their lived experiences, and from the changing times and contexts in which we live. I'm humbled by how much there is still to learn from others. At the same time, I like to think that one of my superpowers is scaling new learnings by sharing best practices with others. I will say, however, that after 25 years as an educational researcher and educator, I have a deep understanding of the home and community services landscape. In fact, I wrote my dissertation at the University of Wisconsin on school-linked services and full-service schools, beginning with early childhood programming in the form of the Nurse Home Visiting Program. As well, my research background provides a significant skill set in analyzing data to measure the effectiveness and impact of programs. Research on children in a family and community setting provides the foundational training of my entire research career. Another superpower is that I am a strategic thinker, as evidenced by the educational software company that I started, Your Turn, as well as a $1 billion investment proposal that I authored called Smart Investments in Minnesota Students. This framework for the state of Minnesota started with the building block of early childhood investments. I worked closely with Dr. Art Rolnick, the Senior Vice President of the Federal Reserve Bank, to launch this research. And there's a lot more to say about both of these strategic accomplishments, but I hope to discuss them more in an interview. A third superpower is that I have strong written and verbal communication skills. I'm able to engage with a variety of stakeholders as demonstrated by my trailblazing role as Education and Outreach Director at the Federal Reserve Bank and with its many constituencies in both private and public sector as well as in urban and rural settings. I'm also skilled at coaching individuals, whether they are leaders of organizations, program partners, or parents and children. In the journal Just in Caring Education, I authored a study on child-parent relations with community service providers, such as public health nurses. I lead with empathy when I coach, and I follow up with plans for action. The work we did at Stanford University on the Learning Partnership in collaboration with the MacArthur Foundation and Minneapolis Public Schools is another such example. Finally, I like to think that my superpower is serving as a collaborative leader on topics of educational equity, which has helped build many relationships across many sectors, including nonprofits, schools, universities, the private sector, and the government. To answer the second question, I can see applying these superpowers in the director role at Valhalla by communicating an urgency for more family and community engagement in early childhood, and conveying important insights and findings in a way that is engaging across many audiences. Again, as a longtime researcher, I bring my analytic skills to measuring and interpreting impact of the smart investments made by Valhalla, as well as measuring risk assessments and monitoring overall performance of programs. I've conducted a fair amount of due diligence in my role as founder of an organization, so I'm well acquainted with the rigors of the process. As someone who banks on personal and collaborative relationships, my communication skills and natural abilities to foster trusting relationships will go a long way in establishing engagement and overall professional practices within and among the early childhood and healthcare setting. It would be an honor to bring my hard-earned skills and lived experiences to the important work going on at Valhalla Foundation in the area of early childhood, In fact, it would be a dream opportunity. Thank you for this opportunity to share my background and passion for this work.